Thank you very much, John Henry, and all of us present here. I would like to start by giving a background of who I am and where I am and why I am there. In the year, I'm Alice Muchiri, working with the Kenya Catholic Parliamentarians Caucus. We call ourselves the Catholic MPs Spiritual Support Initiative. It was initiated by a Catholic university as a constituent college of the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. In the year 2008, I was a young mother, and I was working as a personal assistant in Parliament to a gentleman who later brought a law to regulate drugs and alcohol consumption and curb abuse. Some women or some ladies, we didn't know by then, but we later learned that they had been pushed by the global feminists to bring a law to legalize abortion. And it got the members of parliament in the Kenya National Assembly, alert. And they realized that for us to give a pushback to such initiatives or very satanic initiatives to bring abortion or homosexuality, we needed a Christian voice, and all the Christians and the Muslims spoke in one voice. We tried to form a Christian caucus, which did not succeed, until 2011, when the Catholic University Constituent College came and teamed up with us, and we came up with this initiative. And speaking together as Christians, and eventually purely as Catholics, because not all denominations and religions believe that abortion is the killing of a preborn human being given another name, we were able to give it a pushback. And from there, we became a caucus, holding prayers, Holy Mass every Wednesday in the morning. Parliament did not give us space. The bishops initially did not trust us. Of course, it's not very easy to trust politicians. And that has continued up to this moment. In 2015, the former president of America, Obama, came to Kenya. But it's good to have good networks in other areas who can tell you the truth about what their nations and what their institutions are planning against your country. We got some congressmen who told us that our president is coming to your country, and one thing he's coming to push for is legalization of abortion. So when we went, we didn't speak to the presidency, we spoke to our bishops. And our bishops wrote and spoke to the president then and told him, we shall be watching to hear what you take from President Obama and what you promise. And this is the goodness of the Catholic bishops in Africa. And by the time Obama landed in Kenya, the president had already changed his mind if he had ever thought he would please the US by saying that, yes, we can accept gay marriages. And he said that that would not be a priority for the Kenyans to think, not the public, not the church, and not even his government. And like what Obama said in Zambia and tied every aid that was coming from the US to Zambia and other countries in Africa or sub-Saharan Africa to legalization of abortion. That was the second time we had a battle to fight. In 2019, again, we had the ICPD conference, the International Conference on Population and Development. We didn't know about it. It was hinted to us by a congressman while we were in Fatma. When we went back to the country, again, we spoke to our bishops, and they summoned the presidency, they summoned the ministers, but nobody told us the truth about the conference. So after we were fed by Family Watch International, a very, very good collaborator, we were able to give a pushback to the resolutions of that conference. It didn't even need good resolutions because we had to hold our own side meetings. And through the Catholic caucus, we were able to block all the legislators who were to come to our chambers and discuss and make a Nairobi declaration that homosexuality and abortion should be a universal human right. And we thank God because our bishops have helped put Catholic professionals in critical government positions. And through them, we were able to block, or the efforts were made to block those homosexuals, pro-homosexuals, to arrive in Nairobi. Either they were stopped in Dubai, the transit airports, or they arrived in Nairobi and they were told you cannot enter our country, not when we can see biologically you are a man. Everything says you're a man. You're dressed like a woman and you want us to call you a woman. In Africa, we do not do that. And we had the director of immigration camp at the airport for 3 days, and for sure they did not come in. We had 15 embassies led by the Holy See then because we have a great apostolic nuncio. Hungary, Uganda, St. Lucia, all having our side meetings away from the Kenyatta International Conference Center where the main ICPD meeting was happening. And the Catholics and the evangelicals were ready to march to the airport if the president did not show us his commitments that we're going to bind our country for the next generations. And the president had to change his speech and his commitments overnight after the bishop said, you can't promise us by mouth. Give us a copy, otherwise we are going ahead with our commitment to march to the airport and to ensure that these people do not enter our country. Wow. We halfway won the battle. Come 2021, there was a bill to legalize again abortion and homosexuality through a tool that they're using, the other side is using, the comprehensive sexuality education. Again, this was brought by someone who was brought by Americans to us from New York, a Kenyan, to come and vie to be in parliament to represent their agenda. And what saved us, a blessing in disguise, was the COVID lockdown. Because what happened is that we didn't have the churches opened, except the Holy Family Minor Basilica within the city center, which is just across the road across the street from the parliament. And because of our bishops working very closely with the experts, with the Kenya Association of Catholic Doctors, the Catholic lawyers, also the evangelicals, and we have an ecumenical unity that has strengthened our fight against these vices, particularly the sin of abortion and homosexuality. And from there, the bishops addressed the nation and addressed the presidency and addressed both parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate. And after 4 weeks of every Sunday having statements from the bishops, the bill had to be withdrawn on a Sunday night. When parliament was not on session, the president had to call the Minister for Health and ask him to instruct the Senate Speaker to withdraw the bill. Because our cardinal, after a fierce statement that was, very strong statement that was issued from the cathedral, our cardinal drove to State House and asked the president, what is this? You are a Catholic, and you swore by our constitution to defend life. And our constitution defines life as beginning from conception to natural death. Mm. And because Africa, we are lucky because we listen to the church, we listen to our bishops more than we listen to the politicians and the globalists. The president had to order that statement to be withdrawn on a Sunday night. We woke up in the morning and we were told the Susan bill, the lady was called Susan, had been withdrawn. And that is how we have continued to win our battles against the globalists, against the push for homosexuality. Consultation of the bishops, and the bishops also listening also to politicians because they have a bigger population. The Catholic Church addresses more than 3 million every Sunday. We have 3 million Catholics attending Mass every Sunday, or those at least who can listen and obey the bishops. Then we have the groups of Christian professionals, and especially the Kenya Association of Catholic Doctors. We have the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. And when we are pushed to the corner, we go to the Muslims. And you know the Muslims, the goodness is that they will not condone homosexuality and abortion. And they have helped us win our battles all through. What are the facts that we are relying on as Africans? One, we need to tell people the truth. No one is telling the public the truth about homosexuality as a vice, as an act, what it does to the human anatomy, who are the who are benefiting commercially, who are making money out of promoting homosexuality, the doctors, the big pharma, the people in IT. And if this information is spread well, even those who are being recruited will realize that they are being used. Their lifespan is small. They will go to hell. The gospel truth must be proclaimed. And this is what our Christian leaders, cutting across, whether they're Protestants or Catholics, have insisted, that the gospel truth will never change. And it is not us to be pushed out of the church. It is us to resist to join their church, because the Catholic Church is still the Catholic Church. It is us to refuse to join their church. Number 3, Catholicism or Christianity is not all-inclusive. They are using the language non-discriminatory, all-inclusive. Christians are not all-inclusive because we have been taught that we separate light from darkness, just as hell is separate from heaven. So we shall not be pushed to accept what is not Christian and what is not in the catechism of the Catholic Church. And we can guarantee you that Africa will lead in the resistance, not to be pushed out of our church, but not to join their church, not to join the globalist church. And Africa will not wait for the LGBTQ movement and the globalists to push us to where they have pushed the West. Yeah. That I see you a man, I see you a woman, and you would want me to call you the other, or whatever you have created in yourself. And that one, Africa is saying no. Last week, but one, a member of parliament was sent by our speaker to go and a Catholic member of parliament, to represent him in a forum for the UN Human Rights a commemoration of 75 years. And he asked ambassadors, including religious leaders, who were there. Recently, the British Premier said that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. Yeah. And he asked the ambassadors, the same way you're intimidating Africans, when are you issuing sanctions against Britain? Because if that was an African saying that, no visa to the US, no visa to the Schengen region, no visa to the UK, no visa to Canada, no visa to Australia. And donations, including funding, even from World Bank, will be withheld. As we speak, the World Bank has withheld funding for critical programs, including HIV and malaria, to Uganda. But the Ugandan Catholic parliamentarians have led the rest of the Ugandan parliament in saying that you can stay with your money, we keep our values. They are ready to take a pay cut, but not to be intimidated to accept what is not Christian, what is not cultural, and even what is against the law of nature. But what has helped us most is our collaboration with the bishops. Today, if a politician in Africa is called by their bishop and called by their president, the president of their party or the president of the republic, they will rush to the bishop. Because the worst thing, and the last thing you want to hear is the bishop telling you, we are watching you. And that means your parliamentary term or your term in office is over. In the next election, you cannot be elected. At least in East Africa, that one we know. Once the bishop, we issue a statement and tell you that we are watching you, it is over. Then, lastly, we need to have our own in positions of power, because we cannot expect the devil to clean the house for us. For us, we have the next elections in 2027. We are already grooming people who will come to parliament, because the globalists, particularly in Africa, want to use legislators to pass policies. And I believe that is what happened in the West. It reached a point where policies were made and you were told you cannot ask a child why they are carrying contraceptives. A child leaves in the morning as a girl, in the evening comes back as a boy. Policies were made in parliaments and in those houses of power. We urge everybody, every country, let us strive to have good Catholics, faithful Catholics, and authentic Catholics in positions of power where they can influence policy, particularly to protect the dignity of life. And on behalf of our bishops, they didn't send me to ask this, but they need support. We need support with information. If we didn't have someone from the Congress to tell us about the ICPD conference, we would not have known. If we didn't have someone in New York to tell us that, watch this lady, she's been sent by the feminists to come to Parliament, and indeed it took her 10 years to get into Parliament, and she did a lot of havoc with her push for abortion and homosexuality and through comprehensive sexuality education. Give us information, because Pope John Paul, in his last visit to East Africa, he said, the future of humanity, the future of Catholicism and Christian faith is in Africa, and it's coming to reality. So thank you very much. God bless us all.